The mysterious entity known only as the Pink Death raises the stakes as Samara faces new horrors in the latest chapter of this chilling miniseries known as Spin the Bottle. Betrayals, deadly secrets, and heart-stopping twists unfold as it becomes clear this is not just a game.
What's that? You want to be scared? Come with me. You will experience tales of horror, ghosts, and death. It is not recommended for the weak at heart. Listen in the dark. It's more fun that way. This is Weekly Spooky.
Hello, my spookies. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for a little spooky in your weekly. I'm your host and narrator Enrique Couto, and tonight we have the third part of our mini-series, Spin the Bottle, just for you to kick back and enjoy as we find out where this story is headed and who will die. Of course, if you missed the last two installments, make sure you head back and give them a listen. But don't worry, before the story starts, you'll get a quick recap of all the goings-on. But before we get to the story, I do want to say thank you so much for listening to the show. It really does mean a lot to me, especially in the cold month of January. I know you spookies are a lot like me. You want some Halloween every single week. Well, we are here to bring it to you. We haven't missed a week in over 5 years, and we have no intention of starting. So make sure you're subscribed on your favorite podcasting app. And while you're at it, head to WeeklySpooky.com for all the information about our show you could ever hope to have, including merchandise and our Patreon. Because if you love what we do and want to support us in a very direct way, that's the way to do it. Going to WeeklySpooky.com/join. For as little as $1 a month, you get 2 bonus episodes every single month, as well as 4 years of previous exclusive episodes and audiobooks. So it's plenty to dig your way through, and your support means the most this time of year. I really do appreciate it over at WeeklySpooky.com/join. But now, my friends, it's time to get cozy and get ready to find out what's next for the mysterious Pink Death and our heroine, Samara Mirren. All that right after this. Samara Mirren finds the body of Whit Dalton, her former lover, hanging by the neck and her wrists slit in her dorm. Unable to call for help, she heads outside, only to discover her phone is dead. Returning, she encounters a figure in a Pink Death costume, carrying Whit's body. The intruder tranquilizes Samara and escapes with Whit. Weeks later, Samara wakes tied to a chair with 3 others from a past Spin the Bottle game. The Pink Death killer forces them into a deadly version of the game where the winner dies gruesomely. Samara survives and returns to her dorm, where she, Grant, and Blake discuss the killer. Believing Grant still has feelings for Blake, she breaks up with him and flees Strickfield University. Samara eventually returns and is invited by Blake to her loft. The two drink, get high, and fall into a forbidden encounter. Later, Samara is forced into another horrific Spin the Bottle game. After witnessing another death, the killer kisses her and slashes her wrists. Samara awakens drenched in blood, her last vision of Blake holding a bloody knife. Could Blake be the Pink Death killer? And now, Spin the Bottle, Part 3. Time unknown. I feel like I've awakened several times in just several seconds. First, I was sleeping with Blake at her place after we'd had hot, unbridled sex. Then, boom, I'm suddenly in that horrible room again, playing the Pink Death's horrifying version of Spin the Bottle. After that, I'm back in Blake's loft where I'm bleeding out both wrists and have my own blood all over my nearly naked body. And now, I wake up in a hospital bed and see an IV needle sticking out of my arm. I can see a little bruising on my other elbow. I also see both wrists are bandaged. Then I feel I'm not alone and turn my head to see Blake and Wildman. My eyes go wide when I see they're holding hands. I narrow my eyes on them. What is this? You two finally getting back together? Blake and Wildman suddenly act like I woke them out of a sound sleep. Blake points right at me. No, Samara, you couldn't be any more wrong. She lets go of Wildman's hand, gets up, and approaches me. After I woke up on the bathroom floor, I came downstairs and found you all bloodied and bleeding all over my living room floor. I point right at her. And you had a fucking knife, Blake. I suddenly sit up to her face and yell. Admit it! What are you, pissed off because Wildman and I are fucking? You wanted to get back with him and make him yours again? I feel ready to grab Blake and lay into her with my fists. And then you fucked me last night. Were you having second thoughts about having sex with me in your loft? So you wanted to kill me and get back with Wildman? Come on, Blake, explain how I woke up in your loft, bleeding to death, and you having a knife in your hand. Before Blake can explain herself, a nurse comes into the room. Seeing I'm irritated at Blake and Wildman, she tells them they should leave immediately. When they both try talking to me again, I scream for them to get the fuck out! The nurse again tells them to leave, saying she'll call security if they refuse to comply again. Oh, they both look pissed, but they leave anyway. They both turn to look at me before they finally walk off. The nurse checks my vitals and tells me I'll be okay. I'm about to ask what's going on, but I'm still feeling really tired. Even pissed off, I just want to sleep. I just hope I don't wake up in that horrible room again. When I do wake up, I find I'm still at the hospital. Like before, I'm not alone. I feel excited when I see my big sister, Quinn Shriver, sitting next to my bed. Okay, Quinn is actually my stepsister. When my dad started courting her mom, they had us meet so we could get to know each other and hopefully get close. It worked. When Dad and Catherine got married, we became even closer. We were both little girls at the time. Fast forward to that point when our raging hormones would start influencing us. Quinn and I started becoming distant. It wasn't because I discovered I liked girls. I was having reckless sex and not caring. For a while, I was getting laid more than I'd ever imagined. Having sex for me was like playing a new video game console, with each girl being a new game. Finally, my parents got on me when they felt enough was enough. I cut back on how many random girls I was fucking and started dating. You'd have thought things would have gotten better, right? When Shelley Stratton came to be my first girlfriend, she definitely drove Quinn and me apart even further. Not only did Shelley get me back into my recklessness, she got me to do it with just her. Not only did we have sex constantly, we'd go out and get into all kinds of trouble. Shelley knew how to get alcohol, which was how she started getting drunk. No matter how many times Quinn tried to drive a wedge in between Shelley and me, I refused to listen. Even my own parents had a hell of a time with me. Then it happened. My family staged an intervention. Of course, I refused to listen. I felt deep down they hated that I was in a real relationship and was happy. Then they said they didn't care about me seeing other girls, just that Shelley was bad news, and why. Dad presented me with a copy of Shelley's police record. She had been in and out of trouble with the law since she was 10 years old, mostly for underage consumption and theft. Fortunately, I never got busted on either of those. Believe me, Shelley and I were pros at getting 5-finger discounts. Shoplifting. What's more, my parents said they were checking me into a rehabilitation facility to get clean. I was hooked on alcohol at a young age. Who knew? I certainly didn't. Still, I was determined to not be separated from Shelley. The next night, I escaped from rehab to go find her, and that was when I had found Shelley, nice and comfy in her bed, with another girl. And they weren't just having a sleepover with pizza and movies. That was when my first heartbreak began. Shelley didn't even apologize or lie about it. When she started saying hateful shit to me, I lost control and beat her within an inch of her life. The other girl never made a move to help Shelley. It was Quinn who found me and kept me from killing Shelley. I let Quinn return me to rehab. It sure didn't take long to learn I was indeed addicted to alcohol when I went through hellacious withdrawals. I made it through rehab and came out with not so much of a clearer head. You already know Whit Dalton was next. No, Whit never got me drunk or stoned, but she was a wickedly beautiful, uninhibited girl. Like I said, it was our first night after playing a high school basketball game together that we started having sex. Eventually, I brought Whit home to meet my family. Oh, she sure left a real impression on them, especially when she said she was a mortician who had no problem whatsoever handling dead bodies and preparing them for burial. I guess I never saw that Whit could be very possessive. I never once imagined that she was ordering me around. I remember the times she brought me to the mortuary where she worked near our high school. At times she taunted me at how I would eventually look like a corpse she was working on. A few times I got squeamish and ran into the bathroom to throw up. To Whit's credit, she was very good at making the dead ready for burial. You'd swear the bodies were just sleeping soundly. Whit's vast knowledge of the human body easily motivated her into becoming a med student. As for Quinn, Whit wouldn't let her near me unless we were at my house. My family, eventually, held another intervention. This time to tell me Whit wasn't good for me. Even Quinn begged me to end things with her. If only I'd listened, right? I already told you how I found Whit cheating with her ex and broke my hand when I laid her ass out.
Did you hear that? Better check the locks on your doors. Weekly Spooky will be right back.
Now Quinn is here at the hospital with me. Really, Samara? Suicide? Quinn snaps. Are you serious right now? My eyes really open wide. Suicide? Me? She points to my bandaged wrists. Have you seen those? Looks like your latest girlfriend called 911 barely in time. Any later, I'd be coming to see you in a funeral home. Quinn throws her arms up. I guess we both learned that from our mom. Seriously, Samara, how long will you continue to be reckless? And how long will I have to keep pulling the big sister card on you? Now she's crying. I know we're not real sisters, but I love you so much. When I was younger, I always wanted a sister. When I got you, I knew you weren't from Mom, but I understood the situation. That's why I wanted to get to know you and be your older sister. If you would have died, Quinn grabs a tissue and wipes her tears. I didn't try to commit suicide, Quinn. I protest. I swear on Dad's good name I didn't. Quinn gives me her big sister look, telling me she's going to play the big sister card again. Look me in the eyes and tell me you didn't try killing yourself. Without hesitation, I obey Quinn and tell her. Her face softens up. Then she sighs and takes my hand. Thank you, she whispers. How long have I been in this bed? I ask. 3 days, Quinn answers. Mom and Dad were both here to see you once they found out. They brought me with them and left me behind to stay with you. She raises her finger. And they also want me to bring you back home to Shore City, since it's clear you're having issues here. I just want to know how the fuck Whit Dalton learned I was in Strickfield, I tell her. I only told Mom, Dad, and you. Quinn looks bewildered now. I have no idea. Then she comes and looks me in the eyes. I swear I never told Whit anything. She steps back. Oh, she tried making me talk, but I told her to get fucked. She points at me. I mean it, Samara. Soon as you check out, we're going home. Mom and Dad's orders. Quinn, I'll be okay, I protest. She shakes her head quickly. No, you are coming home with me. You got a problem with that, talk to Mom and Dad. Okay, you didn't commit suicide. This time. She narrows her eyes on me. But you did attempt suicide after you learned Whit cheated on you. She's not wrong. I was soaking in my bathtub at home when I got the idea. I was hurting so much at having my heart broken. Twice. It was much worse than the first time. I went into Mom and Dad's bathroom and found a razor blade in their medicine cabinet and returned to my tub. After getting back in, I sliced both of my wrists without hesitation. Quinn was the one who found me and saved my life. If it wasn't for her, that's another time I'd have been dead too. I look at Quinn now. Okay, I'll openly admit to the first time, but again, I did not try and commit suicide, not this time. It never even crossed my mind. Quinn and I look at each other for a long time. Then she takes my hand. Okay, I believe you. And for the first time in a very long time, Quinn pulls me into her arms and hugs me. I hug her back, happy to see her again. Late Thursday morning. I'd been in that hospital a total of 5 days. It feels so nice to be free again. Quinn brings me to Strickfield Inn, where Mom and Dad got her a suite. For a village, this suite looks more like a little cabin. Overall, it's definitely bigger than my dorm at Strickfield University. The only notable difference, aside from the luxuries that come with this suite, is that my dorm has 2 bedrooms. One's empty since I don't have a roommate. This is home until tomorrow morning, Quinn tells me. Then we really are going home. I turn and face her. No. Quinn faces me now. There ain't no more no about this, Samara. Mom and Dad kept me here to bring you back home. And God damn it, I am bringing you home. She groans. Why do you have to be so goddamn difficult? She points right at me. I can't believe you let both Shelley and Whit come between us. Even now, you're still fighting me. Then why are you even here? I demand. Why don't you just tell me to go fuck off? Again, we look at each other for a long moment. Then we come together and hug again. Because I love you, little sister. She reminds me again. I'll never stop loving you. When we pull away, she raises her finger. And because I love Mom and Dad. I point at her. But I am not going back to Shore City. I'm sorry, Quinn. I don't care what you say on that. You'll have to beat the living shit out of me first. Wrestling was probably the closest thing Quinn and I ever got to having an actual fight. Quinn always showed me she was the alpha between the two of us. I'm expecting her to assert her alpha big sister dominance again. Instead, she shrugs. Okay, you're not coming home. I'll have to call and tell Mom and Dad. You know they won't be happy. She gives me an evil grin and pokes my shoulder with a long fingernail. But you ain't off the hook, Samara. In fact, I already talked to Mom and Dad about this. Let's not forget you were only allowed to leave the hospital under my custody. Otherwise, you would have had to stay there on suicide watch. Oh, what? Are Mom and Dad coming to get me themselves if I refuse to come home? I fire back. I love Strickfield, Quinn. I love it here. I don't want to go home. Which is the truth, but I also don't want to endanger my family with the Pink Death Killer still haunting me. Go on back to Shore City and tell Mom and Dad I'll be all right. Quinn points sharply at me. What part of you're not off the hook didn't you understand, bitch? She lowers her finger. I already told you I talked to Mom and Dad. You don't want to come home? Fine. Her evil smile again. That means I am staying here in Strickfield with you. I'm not sure whether to be happy or pissed. That's right, Quinn continues. Mom and Dad know how stubborn you are. She sighs. We both are. Anyway, Mom and Dad thought you might not want to come home since you told them how much you loved it here in Strickfield in your weekly phone calls to them. They said you can stay here, but I have to be here with you. I throw up my arms. So what? You're my fucking babysitter now? According to Strickfield General, yes, Quinn answers. In fact, Mom and Dad took care of everything on their end. I even got my transcript sent to Strickfield University. She comes and takes my hands in hers. Also, I've been assigned to your dorm since you didn't have a roommate living with you. Again, I don't know whether to be pissed or happy, but I find myself hugging Quinn. So you could say, I'm happy my big sister is here with me. Perhaps we can get close like we used to, before my raging hormones interfered. When we come apart, Quinn reminds me this suite is ours for the night. In the morning, we leave for Strickfield University. My things are already moved into our dorm. I actually got my room set up a few days ago.
You're not safe yet. Weekly Spooky will be right back.
Friday morning. After checking out of Strickfield Inn, Quinn and I walk to campus. For the first time ever, we enter our dorm room together. Sure enough, her things are there. I can even see she's got the other bedroom all set up. We're not even in our dorm room 5 minutes when we hear loud pounding on the door. Quinn turns and opens up, revealing Blake and Wildman. I almost want to laugh at the looks on their faces when they see Quinn standing there. Does Samara Mirren still live here? Blake asks. Did she move out? I hear Wildman tell her. This is Quinn, Samara's sister. Is Samara here? Quinn steps aside and lets them come in. Then they see me. Again, I want to laugh when they look at both of us repeatedly. Blake points to me. We need to talk. You, me, and Wildman. Now they look Quinn's way. Anything you have to say to me, you can say in front of Quinn, I tell them. Oh, and she's my new dorm mate. She goes to school here now, too. Blake and Wildman look at each other. Then I remember them holding hands at the hospital. You know what? No, fuck this. It's clear you two are seeing each other again. And who am I to... Shut up, Blake snaps. You don't know shit. Wildman was really worried about you, so I was holding his hand to calm him down. He spent every visiting hour in your room waiting for you to come around and know if you were okay or not. I put my hands to my ears. Not listening. Get the fuck out. Then Quinn pulls my hands back down. Will you please stop acting like a baby sis? Just hear them out. If you don't want them here, well, then they're done. I'll throw them out myself. Quinn used to kick the shit out of a lot of bullies back when we went to school together. I'd easily wince when they'd look at me the wrong way, but Quinn was more of a tomboy than anything. She loved playing sports, especially football. Anyway, she had no problem going toe-to-toe with another guy if he pissed her off. I think that's one of the things I still admire about her today. Yeah, she's definitely my big sister. When Quinn sees I still don't want to hear Blake and Wildman out, she comes and gets in my face. You want to know the real difference between you and me, Samara? You always run from your problems instead of facing them head on. You really going to run away from these two again? I can't believe she's playing this card now. She points to Wildman. Remember when you brought Grant home a few times for dinner? Mom and Dad really liked him. Hell, he even grew on me. She looks his way. Even though we didn't really talk. So, as your big sister, I say you at least owe it to Wildman here to hear him out. Now I am mad. You can't make me stay. Suddenly she grabs me and takes me down to the floor. No? Shit. I forgot. She wanted to go out for high school football, but the team refused to let a girl play. When Quinn was allowed to go out for the wrestling team, lots of the guys laughed at her. At least until she showed them she could wrestle as good as they could, and earned their respect when they'd win meets and invitationals. She even won a few state championships. Okay, Uncle, I give up! I quickly cry out when I can't break her side headlock. Quinn lets go and helps me up. I growl at her. I hate you. No, you don't, she counters. So now I have to sit down with Blake and Wildman, with Quinn serving as a moderator. I start off by looking at Wildman, but I point at Blake. You heard her at the hospital. The two of us fucked that night. We got drunk and stoned, and we had sex. We even fell asleep together. I know, Wildman says. Blake told me everything after the ambulance took you away. She called me after she called 911. When I saw how you were both dressed, I knew. Blake still told me anyway. Now you know why we can't be together again, I tell him. Suddenly, he reaches out and takes my hand. To be fair, you broke up with me. Technically, you didn't cheat on me. But Blake is best friends with both of us, I remind him. And we slept together behind your back. I would have told Wildman regardless, Blake interjects. But I'm no good for you, Grant, I persist, ignoring Blake. Whit was right that day. I am gay, and that's how it's always going to be. I can't be with you, especially after I turned right around and bumped tacos with Blake just after I broke up with you. Wildman refuses to let go of my hand. I'm not letting you walk out of my life so easily. He looks at Quinn. No offense, but I wish you hadn't moved into the other room. I wish you hadn't moved here now. You don't know what's going on here. Believe me when I say, it's bad. Quinn looks ready to go off on Wildman, but this time I take his side. He's right, big sis. You don't know. Know what? Quinn demands. The three of us look at each other. When my eyes lock with Blake's, I yank my hand away from Wildman and want to tear her apart. Blake stands up and locks eyes with me. Quinn is up there with us to keep the peace. I did not try to kill you, Blake insists. I had to pee, so I got off the couch and went to the bathroom. After I finished washing my hands, I felt something sharp on my back. The next thing I knew, I woke up on the bathroom floor with that bloody knife in my hand. I only held on to it because I felt whoever shot me might have been in the loft. I raised my eyebrow. And how do you know somebody shot you, Blake? I felt the fucking dart in the back of my shoulder and pulled it out, she answers. I was still feeling wobbly, but I knew I had to see if you were okay. I was horrified when I saw you. When you fell and passed out, I fought the urge to go unconscious too and called 911. Then I called Wildman. He got here just in time to see the ambulance taking you away. That's when I came clean to him about what we did. Blake's crying now. I would never hurt you, Samara. You and Wildman are the only two real friends I have here. She wipes away her tears with the back of her hand. And now I've fucked everything up by sleeping with you. Then why did you? I yell. Blake sighs. When I get all nice and drunk, I tend to let loose. You were there. You could have easily pushed me away too. I would have backed off. I look at Wildman. She's right. I didn't back away or tell her to fuck off. I was just as drunk and stoned as she was. Like I said, I wanted to sleep with Blake. Wildman looks at both of us. Do you two want to be together? Blake raises her hand slightly. I love you, Samara. I really do. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't still craving you right now. But I don't want sex to come in between us the way it could have come in between Wildman and me. Quinn points to Blake. So you, she points to me and Wildman, had sex with both of them. Blake groans and rolls her eyes. Okay, I'll admit it. I'm lonely. She calms down, closes her eyes and bows her head. Somehow I always end up fucking my friends. She raises her head and opens her eyes. I don't know why. Like I said, I get lonely. Wildman doesn't get mad at Blake. He looks at me now. Do you want to be with Blake? I want to hear you say it if you do. I look at Blake, then to Wildman. Then Quinn gently slaps my shoulder. Out with it. Be honest. Stop running away. I look at Quinn. And how do you know I'm not heading into another train wreck with either Wildman or Blake, like I did with Shelley and Whit? Because these two kept coming to visit you when you were in the hospital, Quinn answers. You know damn well neither of your past girlfriends showed their faces when they were in the hospital. Quinn's right. I look at Blake and Wildman. I've been close to both of them. I've been intimate with both of them. I'll be honest. I don't want to hurt either one of you. I quickly hold up my hands in front of me. Scratch that. I know I hurt both of you. And I'm sorry. It's very hard for me to say what I want to say, but it has to come out. I take a very deep breath and look at both of them.
Don't go away. Weekly Spooky will be right back.
There's always going to be that part of me that wants to be with girls. Maybe if Wildman wasn't in the picture, I might have been open to the possibility of exploring us, Blake. Blake smiles a little. Believe me, I understand. Again, I'm sorry. I was there too, I tell her. I didn't stop you. Again, I wanted it too. We're both at fault here. Then I look at Wildman. I know I fucked up. I'm willing to give us another shot. But if you don't want anything to do with me ever, I don't get to finish. Wildman reaches out and snatches my hands. Suddenly, I'm flying right to him. He catches me and holds me to him as we kiss. I don't know how long we kiss, but it's wonderful. When we finally come apart, he tells me, "I love you, material girl." I think it's safe to say Wildman and me are officially back together. I don't deserve him, but the fact that he's so understanding of both me and Blake. Speaking of Blake, I get off Wildman and go to her. Then the two of us make up. She doesn't even look the least bit mad that I chose Wildman. Yeah, I still want to explore the possibility of being in a real relationship with my first guy. After Blake and me hug to seal our apology, I turn and hug my big sister. A big one this time. Thank you. It's okay, Quinn mutters. When we come apart, she tells me, "I think you and Grant should get out of here. Go do something together. Don't worry, I'll be here when you get back." Wildman and me don't need to be told twice. We leave our dorm to be together and do whatever it is we're going to do. And for a while, Wildman makes me forget about, well, once again, I find myself in that horrible room. I'm beginning to think this is an attic. All I know is I can see the full moon outside the one window. I can't see exactly where we are since I'm too far from the window to be able to see the ground. Even if I could, I don't know Strickfield well enough to be able to determine where this place is located. Also, I don't have my phone to be able to use a GPS app. Like before, there are 4 of us, secured to chairs at our wrists and ankles with zip ties. Like before, I'm wearing an oversized t-shirt. The pink death always seems to get me when I'm sleeping with someone. How the hell does this person always know where I am and when I'm having sex? When I see who the other 3 people are this time, my heart sinks fast. Amber Casey is new this go-around. She was one of the girls I spun the bottle on and consensually kissed. Willie Towpath was the football player whose crotch wit was arousing that night while pretending to be his date. But the last one is Quinn. Quinn is still in and out of sleep and keeps trying to force herself awake. She's no lightweight. Quinn definitely has the build of a man for the most part. Suddenly, the pink death appears all brightly lit, as if seemingly out of nowhere. Then, we hear a voice, coming from all around us. Ah, yes. Again, it's time for another game of Spin the Bottle. There's a chuckling. I do so love playing games. Life would be boring if we didn't have games to play, right? And right now, I want to play another round of our current game with all of you. The pink death comes to the table and puts the bottle down in the center. And it looks like we have a new player to the game. The killer turns to me. Why, Samara, I'm genuinely surprised your older sister came all the way from Shore City to see you. Not only that, she transferred to Strickfield University and moved into your dorm room with you. The killer leans in towards me. I'll bet you never told her what was going on in your life here, did you? Another chuckle. Well, better late than never, right? Let her go, you motherfucker! I yell. Quinn's got nothing to do with this. The killer points at me. I'm sorry, but you're wrong. Quinn never should have come to Strickfield. She would have been spared our little game otherwise. But now that she's here with you, that means she gets an automatic invitation to play our game now. The killer raises a finger. But don't worry. Quinn has a 1 in 4 chance, the same as the rest of you. Now the killer moves the bottle. Enough talk. It's time to play another round of Spin the Bottle. The pink death takes hold of the bottle and gives it a good spin. Like before, it spins fast for a little bit. Then it starts to slow down. I'm very afraid this time, but not for me. I'll admit I've been afraid to die the previous times, but now I can feel how much I truly love my big sister. The bottle finally stops. On Quinn. We have a winner, the voice echoes. And now... No! Please! I call to the killer. Please don't kill her. Kill me. I'm the one you really want, right? After all, you've brought me here for every game. Just kill me. A loud, exasperated sigh. Now, Samara, you know the rules. Whoever the bottle lands on, that's the person who pays the price. You know I won't change the rules. Not the way you did that night. I fight to break loose. When it's clear I'm staying right where I am, I realize the chairs we're sitting in are also secured to the floor. I look at the killer. Please, I'm begging you. Don't kill my sister. I'm offering myself to you in trade. I'm willing to die for Quinn. You want me to admit I broke the girl's rule that night? Fine. I knowingly refused to kiss Wit because of all the hell she put me through. I can't hold on anymore and burst into tears. Please don't kill my sister. What do you want from me? Anything you want, I swear I'll do it. Just please, don't hurt Quinn. I'll do anything to save her. Anything. Please. Another chuckle. I'm sorry, Samara, but rules are rules. And within just 3 seconds, the pink death raises an axe, swings, and lops off Quinn's head mercilessly. Her skull hits the floor hard and rolls right next to me. I scream like I've never screamed in my entire life. You motherfucker! I roar. You goddamn son of a bitch! I'm in between rage and sobbing now when I see blood oozing from the stump of Quinn's neck. It's only then when I'm finally aware that the other 2 unwilling participants are still screaming. I'm just aware that Amber threw up all over herself. Willie is also in tears at what happened. I know he didn't know my sister, but for a tough fraternity guy, he's showing he's got some humanity. The pink death approaches me again. You motherfucker, I hiss. What the fuck do you even want with me? I would have died for Quinn. You didn't have to kill her. I scream one more time and fight and thrash like a wild animal in a snare. Anything to break free of my chair and kill this fucking piece of shit. But again, I'm secured too tightly. No matter how hard I try, I'm stuck here until the killer decides to free me. I look at the pink death now. Why don't you just fucking kill me and get it over with? You know that's what you want, so just fucking do it already. Why do you keep fucking around? Again, The killer raises a finger and waves it in front of me. No, no, you are not allowed to die, yet. None of you are, until the bottle dictates it to be so. But you, my pretty, you are now the single most important piece of my game. In fact, I think I'm going to give you a pass when you're here. At least, long enough for you to be in the final round. Just you and me. Things are getting really deadly in Strickfield as our mini-series Spin the Bottle is truly heating up. What is the purpose of this deadly game, and why exactly was Samara chosen? And what does the Pink Death truly want from her? Who set these twisted events into motion, and how does Samara, Blake, and Wildman all relate to it? Are we heading toward a final score, or has the game just begun? Tune in next week and find out. Thank you guys so much for joining me week after week as we dive deep into something scary. I sure do enjoy it, and I hope you do too. If you want to write me an email, you can do so at weeklyspooky@gmail.com or by going to weeklyspooky.com. We do appreciate it, and if you're considering supporting us on Patreon, now is the perfect time because in January, business is kind of on the slow side. Your patronage would make a huge difference, and you'd get all kinds of special perks, including 2 bonus shows every week by going to weeklyspooky.com/join. And speaking of Patreon, I want to say an extra special thank you to our Patreon podcast boosters, folks who pay just a little bit more to hear their names on the show. And they are Jessica Fuller, Johnny Nix, Jenny Green, Amber Hansford, Brent McCullough, Karen Wiemet, Jack Kerr, and Craig Cohen. Thank you all so much. And if you want to hear your name at the end of the show through my spooky yet silky voice, all you have to do is go to weeklyspooky.com/join and select a support tier at $15 a month or higher. It really does mean the world to me. I love doing the show. I love celebrating Halloween every week with you. And I promise you, I will be back. In fact, I'll be back on Friday with another compilation of the best stories from 2024. But for now, I gotta get back to it. So for myself, for my executive producers, Rob Fields, Mark Shields, and Bobbletopia.com, my producer, Dan Wilder, and my composer, Ray Mattis, I will talk at you next time.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to find your way back next week. But for now, you are safe. Trust me.